The club that we're going to talk about today does not need any poetic start or the fancy words, because they themselves have been doing that with their performance since day one that they kind of stepped onto the grass and onto the field. I'm talking about Bengaluru FC. The reason I said that is because they definitely have a good team that has a good vocabulary, but they've been doing that with their performances until the recent season as well, of a complete change in the way they approach the entire season, and a complete change in the way back-to-back wins, and went on to become the runners-up of ISL. To talk about all of this, to look back and also to look forward to, I have fans from the West Block Blues joining me on the show. Three lovely gentlemen all the way from Bangalore. It's Amol, Harish, and Nishanth. Thank you so much for taking time, and welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you, Siju.
Thank you, man. Always a pleasure. There's always a Mumbai connection. I think that's exactly why this team has been successful, right? Whether it's behind the scenes, now that's just me kicking in some banter there, within among the fans, or the gentleman who writes vibrant stories, who has some great vocabulary. They have some Mumbai connection. So and then going down to the wire to beating Mumbai FC, they had to do that, and. Well, I think it's definitely something. At the end of the day, credit goes to the city of Mumbai as well in the success. Well, your owner is also a Mumbaiker, so there you go. It starts off from there. But let's welcome all of you guys once more, and I'll start with the Mumbaiker here, who's adopted the Bangalore as a city, Amol. Amol, if you had to describe the season that went by in one word, how would you describe that?
Well, it's really difficult to describe the season in one word, but I would say unstoppable. We were unstoppable as a club, as a team, and yeah,
Yeah, and when the season was about to start, right, you had the recruitment, you had another new coach at the helm, mix of new players, bunch of young ones, the older guys there, but a lot of new influx of new players with regards to the foreign contingent. How did you expect the season to go by, as opposed to what happened? But how did you kind of, just looking at the team on paper before it could start, what were your expectations?
obviously the expectations were really high. Having a new coach on paper, signing a very solid defender in Sandesh Jingan, Gurpreet at the back, Chetri up front. I think adding new more faces, including Rohit, signing Pablo as a foreigner, Ibarra. Lot of good signings. Lot of good signings. It was a mix of, and obviously the core with Suresh was also there. Parag, at the back. All these guys were there. Danish came in. Again, the squad was really, really strong on paper. And by default, it was expected that this squad will do good, or give their best, because it's BFC. Because it's BFC. And yeah, the benchmark has been always higher, higher, and higher for us as fans as well. But we have had our shares of disappointment, needless to say, going down at home against Chennai in the finals. We have had our tears. We have shed our tears, and we are, as a unit, we are strong. We are resilient. We are determined. We are brave, and all of that, right? Which came out post 2022 was over, right? I think it was a season which where we saw lows, and then we just took off. We just took off, and how? So yeah,
Yeah, coming to you, Nishant. One is basically, as Amol mentioned, he said that the team on paper looked really good. Now, which is something I think none of us would disagree, whether we are fans or not of the club, because you had, I think the big headline news was what you had up front and what you had be at the back as well, with Jingan and Roy Krishna up there. So everyone was interesting, or looking forward to seeing this team perform. But what do you think? And the follow up question is one, before I ask, do you also agree that the team on paper was good? If so, then what went wrong? What do you think went wrong as the season went by?
Well, yeah, team on paper was great, but like one Mr. Peter Hartley once said, football is played on the grass, not on paper. Yeah, so we had a difficult start there, but eventually, I think what Simon Grayson did was script one of the greatest comeback stories of ISL. Right, we might have not won the cup eventually, but it was something. At the end of the day, after the game was over, there was a lot of heartbreak the way we lost in the finals. But when everybody walked back wherever they were, there was a sense of pride. Like this team really fought it out. Right, it like we were completely written off. Somewhere towards the end of December, we're somewhere languishing somewhere 9 or 10 or 8. But then you finish off on a very great note, right? The finals could have gone either ways, right? Refereeing decisions here and there, calls here and there. Like Simon Grayson said, at the end of the day, all of us are humans, players, officials, everybody. It could have gone. But as a team, I think we're all proud of what our team has achieved eventually on grass, on the field, right? And you were asking Amol a question in the beginning, like a word to describe what this season was. For me, it's ideally, I've also been asked this question multiple times. How do somebody describe Bengaluru FC season? For me, it felt like a child going into a theme park and finally gets to sit on one of the most dangerous roller coaster ride, right? You go through the lows, you go up and high, and really exciting. I mean, this is a season I really cherish forward, cherish and look back and think, oh, we may not have won the season like how Beke scored the winner in Bombay, Mumbai connection, you said, right? But yes, something we'll really be happy and proud of.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I had missed out on the Bombay connection, right? You also won the ISL in Bombay. So, well, now coming to you, Harish, I must say, Harish is also, if you follow him on Twitter or if you follow him on Instagram, and if you don't, you should, he really writes really well. And when I started off saying the club doesn't need much of a poetry to, for me to say anything, but I think he writes really well about whether it's about football, whether it's about things especially related to sports, and the way he writes is and describes is pretty good. So Harish, if you had to describe maybe in one of those words itself of how do you kind of look back at the season and what would you be remembering the most this season for?
I mean, in a single word, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a proper football season. I mean, you have winning Durant Cup, following by ISL season, and to have such a season, unbelievable. Seriously, and more than on the pitch, it's sense of satisfaction to see the fans coming back to the stadium. Seriously, because a lot of people, I mean, I see a lot of new fans missed out on this action for almost 2 years. So they were dying to come back. And as Anand said in one of his interviews, we are one of the team which feeds off from the fans. So yeah, one such season, beautiful season. And December, you ask any of them, I mean, there was no hope, literally no hope. People were with their calculations, who will be the next person, what are the players for the next summer, and to have finished such a like that, I mean, it's a proper football season. Only football can give you such a action.
And Siju, to add to what Harish mentioned and Nishant also mentioned, there was one small video that BFC TV put up about a fan losing his membership card where Gurpreet goes. And I want to mention this right now where Gurpreet goes to his home and gives him a like a ticket where he mentioned this specifically that nobody believes in us that we are going to get to the top 6, right? We have 8 games in hand and we will be there. We will be there. Like we were at ninth, right? Nobody believed in us. But this bunch of players putting in the work and the fans being behind them, cheering for them, I think has definitely turned around the season for the club and for all of us in a way. And obviously, like
Even
Nishant
the
mentioned,
management to have a trust in Simon, even after hearing a lot of backlashes or whatever is happening, and to have that backing and trust the manager, it shows what the club is all about. Because you need a backing, be it players or any individual being in the sporting thing, they need a backing. And it happened in Albert Roca's case because you following I League, I mean, you see, he had a very bad first season and followed up with probably one of the best seasons the Indian football has seen in Indian Super League. Yeah, and so it's important players are back, important the managers are back. So yeah, when they are back, you sense the best results out of
Well, now winning the trophy in the first season, like when people talk and when I say when I talk to people about BFC, we always talk about that winning the trophy in the first season was it like cherry on the cake, right? We often say that what if they hadn't won, would how things would go by. But let's come to the reality, which is the case where we are right now. So Amol, for you, how has it been like since day one of seeing BFC up until now? The growth of just the fans that have come in, has it resonated? What the changes even the club took to kind of resonate to everyone from the city, everyone from the state, to come in numbers, family with kids, to come and just watch and enjoy football. So Amol, you can start, and then Nishant and Harish can follow.
Sure. So I think it is a very collaborative effort at this point in time where the club is very supportive about what we are doing as a community. I think as a community, if I have to talk, from a West Block perspective, we are doing a lot of things beyond football as well to grow the community. And it's not only about growing, but it's also about growing in the right manner. An activity where we are going and planting trees, or going and cleaning up bridge side road or painting it. And we are trying to involve ourselves as a community to make sure that it's not only limited to football, it's also beyond that. We are also thinking about getting into Coven Pass early mornings and meeting people and doing some activity where it is beyond football. So we have grown, like you mentioned, we have grown as a unit from few hundreds, we have gone to few thousands, like a many thousand, as you rightly mentioned. But I think it's an ongoing process for us also as a community where we are trying to learn and grow together, be it football or be it anything else beyond football. Like just to give an example, during COVID times, we thought to ourselves that how can we use this platform better? And there was like a war room which was prepared, and they were assisting the BBMP guys. This is just an example that I'm giving you where we're trying to do what we can do for the city. It is not only about football, and it never was, to be honest with you. It was always about seeing what more we can do and how more we can resonate to the city. So yeah, like I said, it's a very broad spectrum to talk about, but obviously we are growing as a community, we are growing organically, and we are in the right direction where the club is also supportive of our ideas, and they always say, we are there. If you want to do something, we can do this. We'll be there for you. You just let us know what is the idea that you have, and it's great to have a support like that. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of ideas which come in, but implementing and executing is a part where we are trying to do more and more now. And like I said, it's the family keeps on growing and growing and growing. So yeah.
Yeah, Nishant, over to you.
See, PFC as a club has been for more than a decade now, right? And all of us at different points of time, we've come and found connection with the club. Like people like Harish or Amol have probably been there from season one of the club. I probably started following the club somewhere in 2016 when I heard this news of an Indian club made it to the finals of AFC Cup. Right, that's what really got my eyeballs, and that's when I started following the club and trying to watch it on television. I wasn't there a regular at the stadium, and strangely, the first game I watched at the Fortress, right, was a AFC Cup game. I was sitting somewhere in the east lower, behind where the team sits, right, the media box and all. And the BFC was playing Alti Nasir of in the AFC Cup game, and we lost that game 3-2, right? But I was sitting there and looking ahead, other side of the field. There was a real noisy section chanting right opposite on the west side. And I was asking my cousin, like, I think probably we should start attending the games from there, right? It seems to be more exciting. And I think the next game onwards, the next season onwards, I was there. And it was totally different energy being in West Block A and connecting with people. And I feel as human beings, somehow genetically we are all inclined to find our own tribes, our own communities, a sense of belonging, right, to flourish and grow. And as a sport, I don't think there is any other sport like football where you can find that sense of community, right? Especially in the club culture. We probably have another sport which in club culture which predates in the modern day, the amount of money and media everything comes in. But I don't really find that kind of connection there with fellow fans and team, which I've kind of found here at BFC. Now, like, I don't know if people in podcast will be able to watch it, but what do I have here with me in my hand here, right? The blueprints, right? So, like, you get to the stadium much before the game starts. You want to grab a copy of blueprints, read what's written there, and find the stories, inside stories of the fellow players which are there, the interview, the letter from the coach, and a lot of quotes from the fans. So there is a connection the club has formed with fans, right? So it's just not about the game. There is a huge. It's like community or family. I don't know what's the best word to use, and a lot of credit should go to the way the media and relations team in the club functions, right? So they've been able to create that sense of community among the fans. So there's that that unconditional love, right? Which you're giving to the team because of this connection. And after lockdown 2 years, though there were no games at the Fortress, and this year when you're having the first home game and a lot of crowd coming, there were a lot of people who probably started following the club from this season itself, right? At the stand, there were a lot of new faces, and at the stadium, you end up meeting so many people, making new friends at every time of the game. Initially, before lockdown, I used to come with my family, my cousin. A lot of people have been scattered all over the country. And when the season began, I was like coming alone. And we have the WhatsApp group, made so many friends there. And next time, from second game onwards, I think I'm there. I'm not, whether my cousin comes or not, who's a regular. Otherwise, I always had some group of people there to cheer, chant, and celebrate. And then feel upset when we started losing in the beginning games. But these are the people who kept faith. Maybe in the game one we had a lot of crowd, but when we started losing, the number of people probably reduced. But then even again the game of Odisha or Chennai, where there was less amount of people, that the excitement was amazing, and like you wouldn't regret. Okay, the team is losing, but we're still going to the stadium to watch and cheer the team, and in return you get the excitement of a victory, right? The way they played, it's amazing. I mean, as a football club, BFC has given a lot of connection to city, right? And you have to give some amount of credit to the media team, the way they have connected with the people of city over social media or through the interactions. I'm not sure of the amount of how the media teams in other clubs in ISL have handled this aspect, but I really think that when it comes to connection between the people of the city and the club, BFC has done amazing. They're far, far, far better than most of the clubs.
Yeah, Harish, it's all yours now.
Siju, adding to that, I mean, winning the trophy in the season one does play a part. But the thing about BFC, it's a very organic club where the club, the fans, I mean, even the print media have worked together. I mean, a lot of people have issues where football is not covered up very much. The thing is, if you observe season one, I mean, if you're following since BFC since season one, be it Deccan Herald or even Times of India, they used to keep posting about BFC. It may not be the big other sport article, but there used to be always 1/4 of the page dedicated to BFC. I mean, even credit should go to club or even the journalists for writing it. I guess even the BFC office has that big one side whole paper dedicated to BFC where it reads the group of discards are the champions of India in a season one. So given that, and even the club has done a very good job in interacting with the community from the season one. I mean, these are the people who know how to run a football club. I mean, be off the field. I mean, there's one beautiful documentary on YouTube. I guess all of them have might have seen it. It's called "The Road Less Taken in Indian Football," where Kunal mentions he wanted to make each of these footballers a rock star in Bangalore. I mean, if you look at it 10 years later, he has absolutely done that. So I mean, even and that's the social media part, and even given the fans also. The club lost an I League title on the last day against Mohan Bagan. I mean, that was the day when the family was made. I mean, you see a lot of people, 24,000 people, they're like they're coming back and will take back what is rightfully ours. I mean, if you ask any BFC fan, they'll give you three games. I mean, I personally would have added the one recently against Mumbai in the semi-final. Trust me, all of them will come back. I mean, they don't care we have lost a final because the experience they've got in the semi-final against Mumbai, it was better than JDT game for me. It was one of the best games at Kanteerava. So, be the I-League decided against Mohan Bagan or the JDT game or against the semi-finals against Mumbai City. So, these are things which are not very result-oriented and people come for the experience. And so, once they get this experience, I mean, the two becomes four. I mean, four becomes eight, and even the fans. I mean, you ask any West Block Blue. I mean, that's how the fan base is also built. There are like two people ask you like, there's a football game happening. You want to come out and watch BFC play? It's a local club. I'm sure you'll have. I mean, given Bangalore, which has a very good European football culture, it's easy to interact with people. So, I mean, these things work out in getting two people, and the same two people becomes four, and yeah, I mean, 2,000 people travel to Goa for the finals. That's an insane number. So yeah, it's a very good story of everything clicking for a club altogether, be it journalists or social media or even the fans. I mean, everyone. I mean, most. I guess even Nishanth would have got 10 people by now. I mean, Amol would have got. I mean, his son is a rock star. I mean, so all of them. So all of them have got a lot of people to the games. So and all of them have got more people to the games. It's how the community is built. So yeah, it's more about a community than football game altogether.
No, and just to add to all of this, I feel that while we are on this show and keeping the banter aside, right? I think personally, if you ask me, all the clubs should do this. All the clubs should do this, at least at some level, if not at the highest level, or whatever is in their capacity, they should do it. I'm sure with Bombay, the West Coast Brigade. Sorry, I keep saying Bombay because it's
No, it's
difficult
it's
for me to
Bombay, very
say.
much. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to say
Yeah,
Mumbai because I'm from Bombay. So, yeah,
yeah.
but the West Coast Brigade, the Hyderabad has their own community. I think it's all about building this community, being more closer to the club, and making people more aware that it's great. Like if you see at the backdrop, which I'm trying to hide, there is a big Arsenal frame. But I'm an Arsenal fan, but at the same time, I am a Bengaluru FC fan as well. And I keep telling my fellow friends who are following European clubs, I keep telling them, guys, it's at the end of the day, it's football. Maybe the level is not that much, maybe it's not fast like Premier League. But then you have to come and see these games to experience what it is to be there and seeing a football game live. I think I have definitely turned around some random people into fans, and I take pride in that, to be honest. But I want this to be gone across clubs where we grow this community, and we grow this community throughout the country. And yeah, I think the vision and the mission should be the same for all the clubs and also the fan bases, that eventually we all want to see one end goal. I'm sure Siju will also agree that we all want to see India play at the highest level when it comes to football. I know this is about Bengaluru FC, and I'm switching. I'm digressing, but the little footballer in me refuses to not talk about this. That eventually the idea is to have bigger goals, and we should play that infinite game of seeing India playing at the highest level.
No, I just feel that that was cue for me to end the show because that would have been a nice way to end the show. But I'm not letting you guys go so quick. So now let's just come back to talking about on the grass, right? As Nishant has reminded us that football is played on grass, quoting the great Peter Hartley, of course. That was a cheeky one from Peter, I must say. The Twitter is a best place to be in if you're missing out on some action. Like just go get on Twitter, and first thing you should do is follow the humans of Indian football, and then you can do the rest. But coming back to this, the players, right? On field, if I had to ask, Harish, you can start this time. If I had to ask you to pick one Indian player and one foreign player that stood out the most for you, I know you may want to pick more than one. I can probably give you a leeway of picking two Indian footballers,
No,
but
I would love to
keep the
pick more than one, but I know a person I'm going hell. Like Sandesh Jindal all the way.
okay.
Probably the best Indian player, and probably I don't know, maybe even if you consider Javi Hernandez and Sandesh Jindal, these two players were absolute amazing this season. And Sandesh Jindal under Sunil Chetri is a different gravy altogether. I mean, there were rumors like, I mean, not rumors exactly, like there were issues like he may not be the actual how it is coming back from an injury or whatever it is. And what a performance by Sandesh Jindal. What a literally.
Yeah, Nishant, you may follow up and Amol get in on that.
When it comes to the Indian players, yes, Harish is probably spoken about the cherry on the cake. Sandesh Chingan out there. I mean, what an amazing season he's had with all the injuries and coming back. But then you look at the 3-5-2 defense with Simon Putz, and yeah, Jingan was like right there in the middle, diving, jumping, everything to intercept the clearances he did. But along with Jingan, what I am so warmed about the way the BFC season turned out was because of Siva, right? The opportunities he got, the faith Simon Grayson showed in him to be the starter, right? I mean, it's the most difficult choice for any coach, as Simon says, to make Chetri sit on the bench and make somebody else play in front of him, and then Chetri comes on as a super sub to score 4 goals or more, this season. It's amazing the way the season turned out for Siva, and it could have gone any way the finals, right? If not for Shiva's injury within first 5 minutes, it could have been anything. When Plan A goes, Plan B comes in, and we played well with Sunil Livan scoring the first goal for BFC in that game. But yes, Shiva is something which I'm not only looking forward from the point of view of BFC, but also waiting for him to make his debut for the national team. Unfortunately, he missed out on the Tri Nation friendly because of injury, but really looking forward to. And yes, I just want to have one more Indian player who's not a BFC player, but yes, Changte. What a season he's had. Amazing for Mumbai. I think without Changte being Mumbai, I think it probably would have been a different story somewhat, right?
Siju is smiling. Siju is smiling. When you said Changte, Siju was like, guys,
I've seen
yes.
him. I've,
Yeah.
I've I've seen him play live, and I even told him. I think I've spoken about this even on the when we had the West Coast Brigade, right? I think you really have to. I think I saw Sandeep tweet about this, that just watching Changte play is brilliant, right? But I added to that saying you have to watch him play live. Like you have to go on the ground and just watch him play live. It's absolutely something else. It's and to see his growth. But let's take it to this is about BFC, so we'll come back to this. Amol, your picks under your best Indian pick and your best foreign pick players.
I think both Harish and Nishant have picked excellent players, not taking anything away from the picks that they have had, that they have shared with us today. I myself will go with Shiva for obvious reasons, the opportunities that he has got, and it has not come easy for him. When I met the lad, he said the striker's life is so difficult. When you perform, it's great. When you don't perform, you're not seen at all. So, obviously, he said this in a very simple way, but that sums up, a lot of things as a player. Very down to earth, very humble guy, and just great at what he does on the pitch. I don't want to get into the technical aspect too much, but the way he moves on the pitch, on and off the ball, is something that we will see for years to come in the national squad. I'm telling you this, guys. I'm telling you this. He is a brilliant lad, and definitely he will don that national jersey for years to come. In my little experience about football.
A lot of potential, but yeah, there are a lot of improvement which awaits him.
I would also like to add one more Indian player, and that is Rohit Kumar. What a season he has had. If you observe his game, and you don't have to be like technically very good at this, if you just observe the game, there was a time when that 1-2 was not seen. But he switched the gear, and you just see these intricate passing between Suresh and him, or somebody who is dropping for the ball and taking it and asking Bruno, such intricate passing. I think if you give that guy a little more time, he will be definitely a different player altogether. And obviously, you will also see him a lot in the national squad. These are the two Indian players I think for me stood out. Obviously, there are others, but these two players stood out for me. And from a foreign contingent player, I think Alex was a no nonsense signing. Like, this guy did the job to the T. I mean, almost broke his hand, but still continued to play the game. And the resilience that one needs to show on the pitch, this guy was there. This guy was really, really there. Heading, aerial ball, long balls, clearance, might not be the fastest on the pitch, but got the job done really well. And of course, the run that he had against Mumbai, his stats against Mumbai are really brilliant. Really, really brilliant. So Alex is one pick from a foreign. I love Bruno Ramirez. Maybe people have different thoughts about him. He's a workhorse for me, but I pick Alex above Bruno at this point because they say your backline, the defense wins the game for you. The back line will win the game for you. So Alex definitely stood out for me.
It's second Amol on that. Alex was amazing, and I hope he stays with us.
Australians are
Yeah.
built different, and these people are amazing.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Rohit, of giving Rohit the time, I think the BFC has done it. The boy, the lad. I mean, he's waited, right? I mean, he's been with BFC for such a long time, and to have that patience, to still have that, go out there and yeah, he just owned it this season. So I think, and they've credited him for it as well. Extended the contract. So coming to the closing thoughts of the show, I cannot not talk about something very interesting that happened, right? How can we not talk about that? And before we walk away from this episode, we have to talk about that aspect. Just because purely it's fun, it's banter. Probably I might also get requests that you get so many fans, but why did you get them as well? Probably one day I'll get there, but you guys were there, and let's just I mean, I can't even use that phrase, right? Addressing the in the room, because that's exactly, I love that animal. And that's the animal that represents the kind of resembles, or it's part of the logo as well as the mascot. But to talk about it, not beating around the bush, of course you know what I'm talking about. When it happened, okay, my question is not to go back and ask you whether the goal was right or not. That's all past. But what was the initial thought that came to your mind when you saw that live being outplayed right there? When you three have been watching football for years, probably across wherever you've watched, and something like this has not happened. Though we say that some of the Indian football fans went on Twitter, said that something has happened in the past, but something like this to be witnessing live, to suddenly see a coach just walk onto the pitch, because that was something surprising for me. I'm like, hey, the match is on. How is he on the pitch? How he just walked into the field. So, and then to see whatever happened rest, your initial thought, what was happening, what did you think, and what was happening in your heads? Nishant, you can start, then Harish, and then Amol. So don't wait for my cue. As Nishant is done, just follow up.
When that happened, it was like we were in the middle of celebrating the goal. We just didn't realize what is happening. There was complete chaos there. And I couldn't really believe that the manager is somewhere in the middle of the field there. And like, what's happening? What's happening here? What exactly? I'm like out of words. Next thing I know that he's walking off. He's calling the players and they're all walking off. And we were like laughing our heads. What is happening here? I mean, there's still 25 minutes or more, or 24 minutes of the game still left, right? And when that goal happened, while we were celebrating, I was thinking, like, a lot of us probably were saying, okay, let's keep the lead, let's maintain this lead, or maybe let's get another goal, right? Because 1-0 is the lead, is a very thin lead. It's like a thin sheet of ice. And the other team probably has players of reputation who probably can score an equalizer any given time. You remember the game against ATK during a comeback story which happened in Kolkata. We scored a game in 90th minute, and suddenly within a minute, Petronas has scored a goal. Right? Glad we're 2-1 up and the game got over. Anything can happen in this beautiful game. So it was like shocking. Like, why would some manager walk off like that? I mean, doesn't he have that faith in his own team of amazing players out there to not just score an equalizer, but to actually come back from behind and win it? Because there's so many fans out there, like they've filled the stadium in numbers, and they've traveled from faraway distances. I mean, they may be my rivals, but then don't you want to give your fans that chance to cheer your team, cheer them on, at least hope that they motivate them and they fight back. It was surprising, and I just could not believe what was happening there. Towards the end, we were laughing, and I thought he was going to come back after 5-10 minutes, and it did not happen. This is walked off. It was like unbelievable. I don't think I've seen something like like when you talk about another club walking off the field, it probably had a different reason. A player was injured because of stone throwing or something that was done. It's a different story. Like you feel there is a safety of your players and team is that should come first, and if not there, then probably they are in the right. But then your refereeing decision doesn't go in your favor. You don't walk off for it. Like if you look at that particular game itself, we should have had some decisions in our favor where we were brought down in an unfair manner, which a lot of us think should have been yellow cards. Those yellow cards were never given, and nobody in our team walked off, or our manager didn't walk off. Even in the finals, where we think there should have been two more penalties, Simon Grayson never walked off. Nobody walks off. That's like after a month, suddenly you realize that yes, this shouldn't have been done. You write a letter, and in a cryptic manner, you probably are thinking twice to say the words, or just leave it at the words regret, ambiguous. I mean, it's like surprising, like you probably have that momentary lapse of reasoning, but then you had still that time to cool and come back to the field with your players, and probably you didn't do it. It's like, I don't know. I mean, like fans might call it revolutionary. I mean, I totally disagree with that. We are having banters regarding this for a long time on Twitter. I mean, it's revolution is, you come back, score a goal, not one, two, and win it. That's revolution.
I mean, the initial reaction was Chelsea scored a goal, and the first thing was still we have 24 minutes to defend this, and that's the scary part. I mean, the thing runs, we are 1-1, and suddenly someone scores, we are 2-1 down, we are gone. So, and the next minute you see a team walking off. I mean, following BFC for almost a decade, following European football for 15, this isn't happening. Like, this is new for everyone. I mean, like, what is happening? We keep talking. I mean, we kept talking in the West Block. It's like, have you seen this moment ever? Even on television, be it whatever. I mean, like, no, this hasn't happened. And you see suddenly players are walking off, the coach is walking off. I mean, yeah, the BFC players are warming up for the next game. So it was very weird 24 minutes. It was, I mean, the flashlights were on. I mean, people were enjoying the stands. I mean, you can call it heat of the moment or whatever it is, man.
Yeah.
Because 3 years, 4 years down the line, I mean, I even mentioned in one of my tweets, like when the dust settles down, I mean, Ivan will be managing elsewhere. The players will be elsewhere. I mean, the thing about KBFC, it will forever remain. I mean, you see 10 years, 15 years down the line, they'll be the club which walked off for a small referee decision when they had 25 minutes. I mean, this is not a team which got there, I mean, with great difficulty. They had a decent season. They had a very good season. I mean, this team played a finals previously. I mean, so it's not like something after a lot of years they manage promotions and stuff and have a quarterfinals in their hands, and it was very injustice or injustice or whatever to them. It seems very heat of the moment, and yeah. But yeah, such games don't come often. You might see BFC lose 4-0, 5-0, but such moments are one for the books. 20 years,
Yeah,
yeah, BFC might have a home ground on their own, JSW Arena, whatever it is. But yeah, this game will forever be immortal.
yeah,
After the game, I was feeling bad for the next semi-finals, ATK and Hyderabad. It's their game, but people are still talking about the previous game. Like, come on.
Still, people are
yeah.
talking about it after the finals.
Yeah, for me, obviously, it was shocking, needless to say, because as an athlete, you don't give up. You don't give up. No matter how bad the situation is or circumstances are around you, right? You don't give up. And I could see there were players who were in disagreement as well. There was Prabhu Sukangil refused to walk out. Luna at some point refused to walk out, but then I don't know what happened. But then somehow he got convinced and then he said, okay, guys, let's walk out. I got to know while this whole thing was unfolding, I got to know that they are contesting inside the tunnel. And with something which was expected, then I still felt that they will come back. They will come back and play. Because if you see the match, there were 25 minutes left and they were playing good football at that point in time. And you just don't do that because a decision went against you for whatever reason. Heat of the moment, call it whatever. It is going down in the history of KBFC for I don't know how many years. The banter will continue. People will remind them on Twitter for years to come. But it is one for the books now, obviously, like what Harish mentioned, rightly mentioned. But you don't do that. You just don't do that as a football club. You don't. You,
One incident where Mohan Bagan or East Bengal walked off in a derby where a person was hit with.
Mohan Bagan.
Yeah, at least that is somewhat. I mean, it's understandable somewhere because I mean, even in European football, these referee mistakes are very often, even with the VAR.
Yeah, I think that's what Nishant addressed that point of, probably yes, there could be a team in the past that walked off, but maybe, it was an injury and someone throwing a
Yeah,
stone, and it was probably taking a decision where, your player safety and walking out and stuff.
never
When
thought of
Amol was
it.
talking about, yeah, when Amol was talking about certain players not agreeing, but at the end of the day, it's not a player's call, right? At the end of the day, players follow suit of what the coach says, because at the end of the day, he's leading the team, and you listen to him, right? Even if, imagine if it was some player saying, no, I don't want to come, that would have been even more uglier, right? Instead of saying that, okay, even if I don't agree, let's just walk out now because you
Definitely, as a
stalled me,
BFC fan,
whatever.
I was waiting for that to happen. Like players are just fighting
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
coach, and I was like, I'm not going to leave the field. Like it's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No, but
yeah.
seriously, I mean, I was telling my wife that I did not enjoy this win. I honestly did not. I honestly did not enjoy the win that night because
Yeah, it felt incomplete, right? Somewhere
it
it felt
felt
incomplete.
completely
Incomplete.
incomplete for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Completely.
But yeah, I think maybe this episode, you guys are listening to this episode on the 12th of April, which is basically just few days away from another clash that you guys are going to have with KBFC in the Super Cup, and it's happening in Kerala, not in Kochi but in Manjeri, if I'm not wrong. And
Manjeri, yes.
yeah, so it's like maybe you have a chance here to play a full match. But Nishant, I think probably I'll just have your thoughts on this, and then close. What are you looking forward to? And do you think that, for me, when the fixtures came out, I didn't. I'm not sure if they decided the fixtures after they saw this BFC KBFC game, because it was too less of a time period for them to actually come up with fixtures. So do you actually think that, they probably clubbed each these two teams up against each other after that incident? Or you don't have to answer that question, but what do you think is going to outplay over there, and how do you think our West Block Blues traveling to Manjari to watch this match? If yes, then probably you guys will have to have a Z level or Y level security while you're traveling.
Well, first of all, for anybody who is in some kind of a state of confusion, it's just want to remind them it's not a rematch. It's a totally different game because some people are on Twitter are asking for a rematch. Yeah, so it's a totally different tournament altogether. Jokes apart, yeah, security issues are important, especially in charged rivalry between the clubs like this. And I think today there was an announcement of the referee who was part of that playoff game in Bangalore will not be there as part of Super Cup. I don't know how people will see it as a celebration, whatever, but I think it's a good thing considering the safety of the referee that he's not anywhere there. His own safety, right? He could, and it should not be seen somewhere doubting his credentials or credibility or the decision altogether. It should not be misread because safety is important in football. Fans, officials, players, everything, right? Yes, I'm really looking forward to that game. Well, unfortunately, I wouldn't be in Kerala to watch that game. I'll be in Goa at the wrong time in the wrong tournament. I should have probably been in Goa during the finals, but I'm here on that day driving back to Karnataka and probably rewatching the game somewhere on the highway in a mobile device. But yes, I found it very funny when I heard it that we are in the same group. And I was reading one of the interviews with Simon Grayson. He also mentioned the same thing. They were laughing their heads off. But apparently, the draw was done with a lot of people being present there live. So it's a lovely coincidence. Good for the game. Good for the tournament because it draws a lot of interest. Indian football does need that interest, right? Support from people.
And hopefully,
Yeah.
Chetri free kick to finish the game.
Yeah. Harish, to ask you one, you have to now only pick one, the most memorable moment from the season. I wouldn't want you to pick the obvious because probably, everyone would say, oh, the wins, back to back wins, or the first win out of that, and whatever. But if there's something that stands out completely different, by the time Harish is talking, Amol and Nishant, you can also decide and just give me one, think of one memorable moment and you can be ready to answer once Harish is done.
I was very impressed with Das Buckingham shirts this season, apart from Carlos Portrat. Those white shirts. No jokes, but apart from that, yeah, I mean, the Mumbai game and KBFC game, because a lot of people from across the state traveled to this game. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, you see various districts, especially KBFC game. They traveled in trains. I mean, even a lot of other states also. I mean, people traveled in trains and buses and a lot of stuff. And I guess it was weekday also. I guess it was Friday or something. The KBFC game. Yeah, the weekday. The KBFC qualifiers was on weekday. So I mean, having a weekday fixture and you see people taking a leave from office from various state and traveling to a game. Yeah, I mean, it was one such. It's always good to have new people, new faces in the stands. I mean, because you see a lot of people are traveling elsewhere, people are settled across elsewhere, and when you see a lot of young fans having exams the next day, having the offices the next day, and coming to watch the game, traveling hundreds of kilometers is a beautiful thing. Some of them have traveled in trains all the way standing from various districts. So yeah, I mean, and they've got a wonderful game, which I don't know when they'll see it again. Such kind of games, it's impossible, and yeah, probably KBFC and Mumbai game, both of the qualifiers, playoff games.
Yeah. Yeah. Amol?
I think for me, obviously, other than the game, the early kickoff, 5:30 kickoff was really good because it was very different for us at the stadium. It was too early, like we are still trying to figure out. And then the game is already on, like, Arey, wait, I want to drink tea at Konark. Arey, game chalo ho gaya, chalo jaldi. So it was like very different. But coming to the match perspective, I think Mumbai game stood out for me because it was a total package and end to end stuff. Mumbai is always going to be special. Bombay is always going to be special. But yeah, seeing that game was definitely like at the top four.
Nishant, do you have a different answer too?
Well, yeah, the Mumbai game was special. Towards the end of the 9-8 penalty little score, I think if somebody had put an ECG on me, it would have given erratic values.
Oh, absolutely.
It was just tense, really tense. But also I would like to mention another moment that was before the playoff with Kerala Blasters. Uh, the home leg we played against Kerala Blaster, we won with 1-0 margin, right? And the fans of Kerala away fans came in huge numbers with a lot of banners, a lot of banters, everything, right? But then Simon Grayson said, like, you play possession football or one touch, and what's the point if you don't win the games, right? Like, we had a game against Hyderabad in December, we had 60% possession, and we had most number of passes. But that it all boiled down to that 2 shots on target for us and 4 shots on target for Hyderabad, and Hyderabad got 3 and didn't get anything. And here, with amazing atmosphere, and Roy Krishna scores that winner, and you with that 1-0 win, you go on to silence a huge crowd, which is actually, an away crowd and is trying to have a lot of banter. That was special. A lot of people forget about that game and only think of the playoff which we had against the Blasters. But that game was amazing. The numbers were almost equal to some extent, and that was something which you'll cherish a lot.
Great. I think a lot of moments, something, a lot of things to look back, and I hope that's how you guys would also want to look forward to another exciting season, which is going to be it's long way. It's probably the latter half of this year. Till
Can't
then,
wait.
you can.
No, I guess
Yeah,
all of
till
us are
then you
looking forward
can.
to Super Cup.
Yeah, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
for sure.
Is a club
That's
because
something ongoing.
react very well.
Yeah,
Whenever we have lost an ISL final, we have went on to win a Super Cup, as per the history book says. So
yeah. Maybe another silencer looking cup trophy for you, probably to console. That's an ugly looking trophy, just by the way. But at least now it has. I mean, some kind of value. I think you win and you get a chance. Something. Yeah.
Yeah, all the
the only way
So it's
they're going to change the trophy is maybe when Kerala Blasters go to the final and they have another letter changing the trophy design in the social media.
yeah. Okay, so let's put an end to this episode. I had to be another cracker of one with the fans. It's always special getting fans on the show, and yeah, hopefully we'll continue doing this, getting different kinds of fans, different club fans on the show as well. Hopefully everyone stays till the end of the episode. Thank you so much, guys. Amol, Nishanth, Harish. Thank you so much for spending time, taking time from your busy schedule. You guys are all working professionals and still came in and did this. Really happy, and thank you so much.
thanks a lot for
Thank
having us. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Siju. It was
Take care.
finally happy to be on Humans of Football.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
yeah.
for having you lovely humans on the show as well. To all the lovely listeners, not just the West Block Blues, I hope everyone listens to this show. Thank you so much for being an audience listener point of view of loving the show and showing appreciation. Really appreciate it. Keep that coming because we'll have some more fun episodes like this in the future as well. This is the Total Indian Football Show, available on all the leading audio platforms, and please listen to them. Leave a rating wherever you can. Follow us and let us know what you think, and also you can let us know what more you want to hear. Thank you once again to all of them out there, especially to Amol, Harish and Nishant. Have a lovely week ahead, guys. Thank you so much. This is me, Siju, signing off.